Hey guys, welcome to the American Tribune Live. I am Todd Peterson, and I guess we're just going to be blunt about it. The headline of the show today is that immigrants need to be banned from serving in elected office here. And caveat, full disclosure here, qualifier, there are a lot of people that need to be banned from holding elected offices. There are a lot of people that need to be banned from voting. I am not suggesting that if we banned, I got a lot of names and faces today from folks in Washington, D.C., state houses, what have you. If we got rid of all of them tomorrow from holding these offices, I am not suggesting that all of our government woes and problems and corruption would be solved. Far from it. Like, I don't need to point out Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Well, Kamala Harris is an interesting immigrant story if you want to go down there. This is not going to solve all the corruption in government. It's not going to solve the bloated government, but it is one facet. It is one thing we could do rather easily, I might add, that would get us in the right direction at the very least. And so I am going to focus my commentary on immigration. I voted for Donald Trump for a plethora of reasons. Chief among them, though, was resolving the immigration fiasco at the southern border, inviting tens of millions of dudes that don't belong to this country to be here, hopefully resolving the legal immigration crisis as well. We can't talk about, and the Overton window has shifted here, but we can't talk about solving, America's immigration problem and say, if we just stem the tide of illegal immigration. It's much more than that. We need to stem the tide of all immigration at this point if we are going to retain this country and what it means to be in America. Doesn't mean you can't be brown, black, red, yellow, green, blue. You can be other things other than white. But America, if we're being honest here, is a white majority Judeo-Christian country. That's what it was founded on. These are the peoples that populated it and made it what it was so that other people from around the world would want to come here and take advantage of the wonderful system we created here. They're allowed to be here, but we can never become a white minority nation. And I think people are finally able to talk about the fact that, it's okay to be white. There are things to celebrate. Everyone else gets to celebrate their ethnicity and their race. And no, race is not the most important thing about a human being. Their values, their morals, their parenting, their relationship in their community, relationship with one another, how they view the role of government. There are a lot of things more important, character, more than skin color. I think MLK said that at one point, the rapist communist that we all prop up and celebrate every January here. So no, race is not the only thing, but it is one thing. And as these videos are going to make clear, I've got clips of Omar Fattah and Moran Zamdani. These are going to be the two next Democrat socialist mayors in New York City and Minneapolis, an hour away from me. And they come out and just say, we need less whites. Whites are terrorists. Whites are awful people here. And so, yeah, you have to push back and say there is nothing wrong with being white. Turns out you are living in a country created by whites, so it can't be all that bad. So yeah, we're going to focus the commentary. Can't go on this huge umbrella rant here. So I'm going to specifically talk about immigrants today, immigrants voting, immigrants holding office here. But just understand, there are a lot more problems we need to resolve. And we got Kagan Girl in the chat. Good morning, Kagan Girl. Yes, love the USA. I want to keep the USA. I like how the USA was started. And I want to retain that. I like what we have going for us. We can still stop it. It's not too late. We're not the UK. We're not Germany. I think that ship has sailed. I think Europe is done for. I keep talking about family vacations with the two littles. We have to get them to Europe before it is too late, before it's completely taken over, because I don't see that changing. 20 or 30 years, I'm not going to take them as grown-ups to Europe because there will be nothing left over there. But we can still save America. And a lot of that comes down to preventing immigrants. That's the topic of the show today. That's what we'll focus our commentary on. If you missed the very beginning, go back and watch it. Yes, there are other problems in government. No, I'm not blaming everything on immigrants here. But like Kagan Girl says, we have to stand up. We have to defend what it means to be an American. And that's a nation with a white Christian identity. And yes, skin color is not the most important thing. Your character is, your values, your morals, how you view the role of government, what have you. But it plays a part. It plays a part. Europe and America had white ethnicity, white traditions, if you will, and look what they created compared to the rest of the world. And yes, the UK is getting quite bad. They will arrest you for complaining about immigration. If I did this podcast in England, they would be storming into my house, knocking down my door and arresting me. And then the illegal immigrants, or just the legal immigrants, because they let so many people in legally, the ones that are committing crimes and changing the country and making it worse, they can keep doing that. But if I point it out, then I go to jail if I'm podcasting in England. So we are not there yet. I'm still allowed to go on these rants here. And folks, I got to be honest, maybe this is harsh. Maybe the Overton window hasn't shifted quite enough in your viewpoint yet to be like, well, we can still have room for some legal immigrants. I would like to change your mind. That's my challenge today for myself. I'd like to change your mind here. I got clips of Norma Torres. I'm just scrolling through the videos to name them all. Norma Torres, Maria Salazar, Pramila Jayapal, Moran Zamdani, Omar Fatah, Ilhan Omar. Who else do we have in here? That's just a handful of legal immigrants holding elected positions, or they will in the case of the two mayoral candidates here. And none of this is good. You can't have someone come to this country, have sympathy for illegals and legals and say, more of this is good. Look at what I've been able to do. We need more of these people here. You can't say, I hate this country. I want to change it. We haven't finished the rebuilding or the reimagining of America. Yeah, we have. I liked what we imagined in America for the most part, culturally and societally. We don't need immigrants coming in and saying how we can manage our country and our culture and our society better. If you want to manage a culture and society, you can go manage your own culture and society. We got Francis in the chat. Hola, Francis, as we talk about immigration. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Gracias por venir hoy. Yeah, we're not doing any Spanish today. We want to get, and again, I have no problem with people having their own culture and identity in your pockets. You can do Cinco de Mayo. You can do your little neighborhoods. That is part of the tradition here. But there is a scale. There is a balance that you hold, and you understand that this will always be a white Christian majority country, and it functions if you have a small minority of these other populations here. Yeah, they can go speak their Spanish in their communities. I'm fine with that. I've often said I wish Americans spoke more languages. I think it's healthy. I think it's good for your brain. Everything is good about learning more languages here. That is great. That's why I studied abroad. That's why I lived abroad. That's why I worked abroad. But it means I also want to keep America as America. I don't want to press 2 for Spanish. I don't want to have Maria Salazar. She's a Republican. I don't need her tweeting graphics out in Spanish. I'm going to show you guys that today. Don't appease these people. They need to assimilate. They need to speak the language. They need to respect the culture. We got Jason Robertson in the chat. What's up? What's up? That's a throwback right there. What is that? The 90s? Jason, what's up to you as well, my man? Tomorrow, folks, Jason and I go live, Freedom from the Press podcast at 10 o'clock Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, over actually on the same Rumble channel, because I got to admit, folks, I'm a boomer at heart. We had Ken in the chat on Tuesday, made some comments about boomers here. I am a boomer at heart myself, so I don't mean it derogatorily. I couldn't figure out the feed for the other Rumble channel, so I'm streaming on the main Rumble channel today. So I got to figure out my camera. I got to figure out the links to the American Tribune Live Rumble channel. But let's dive into it here. Let's dive into this today. I'm just showing lots of clips. And again, my goal is to convince you that immigrants should not be holding any elected offices. I don't think this should even be controversial. I think you'll agree if you don't already by the end of the show today. They just can't. We cannot have people that are immigrants themselves holding the idea that immigrants are good for this country, because they are not. We are well past that. That ship has sailed. We need to retain the identity of America, and that means excluding other people from around the world that bring in different ideas. I don't want a marketplace of ideas. I want my ideas to win. It's such a classic liberal, misguided notion to have this marketplace of ideas, have an open mind. I mean, G.K. Chesterton figured it out over 100 years ago. The goal of an open mind is to listen to all the ideas and then close your mind around the best ideas. We have closed our minds. I have closed my mind around the best ideas that America is a white Christian majority nation and needs to stay that way if it's going to be the America that we all grew up in and recognize as the best country in the world. I am very closed-minded now around the idea of immigration. It's not good for this country anymore. Ban illegals from coming here. Ban legals from coming here. Ban them from holding offices. No, I'm not a bigot. No, I'm not closed-minded. I'm closed-minded in the sense that I have opened my mind to different ideas. I've seen these scenarios play out, and I don't want them here anymore. I'm going to play the short clip first. This is Norma Torres. You've likely never heard of her. She is irrelevant other than the fact that she is an immigrant born in Guatemala. She is not from here. She came to this country, and instead of saying, thank you for saving me from poverty, crime, no direction in life, if Norma Torres had stayed, and I would argue any of these people, if they had stayed in their home countries, their lives would have amounted to nothing. They come to America, they hold an elected office, they work half the year, and they make way more money than the average American, and then they decide they need to change this country. Everything we have blessed them with, everything we have given them, everything they have received in return, their response is no gratitude, no appreciation, and I hate this country, and I hate the white people that live in it, that made the country great, that allowed me to come here in the first place and then achieve all this success. So Norma Torres, this was her commenting back in, what was it, a month ago when Los Angeles was burning down. They waved their Mexican flags. They said they were speaking in Spanish, saying, don't send me home to this Spanish-speaking country with a Mexican flag. Norma Torres said this about the Trump administration.
ICE get the fuck out of LA so that order can be restored.
She says, get the F out of Los Angeles so that order can be restored. Not only is this misguided, no, ICE needs to be there and round up everybody that protested and send them packing. She says that if ICE leaves, then order will be restored. You see, folks, in the world of Democrats, I go back and forth. Are they that stupid? Probably. Are they that evil? Yes, that they would lie to you like this. You see, Norma, there was no order in Los Angeles before ICE arrived, because that's when they were all protesting and burning cop cars and looting buildings and causing mayhem and blocking traffic. That is not order. That is chaos. And so ICE came in to stop the chaos, but then they threatened. They were trying to threaten Donald Trump, saying, we will do this so long as ICE is present. And it's like, no. There is no order right now. I'm sending in police and ICE and agents to restore order. But again, the script was 180 right here. All right, so Norma Torres, she can go back to Guatemala. Adios forever. But she is here right now holding elected office. That is a problem. All right, we're going to remove Norma from the studio here. I'm going to go to Pramila Jayapal. I don't even, her name is stupid. She needs to leave this country. Here she is advocating on the House floor. I got two different clips about why it's good we need not less immigration, but more immigration. This is the gal that's tweeted about, since I am an immigrant, I will always advocate for immigrants. Folks, if you are serving in Congress, your only priority, and I can't believe I have to say this out loud, should be serving the American people, not the immigrant population, not the illegal immigrant population, the American citizen population. That is your job. That is your one job. I don't even know if it's written on a piece of paper, your job description, duties. That is just, it's a given. You are here to serve America. That's not how Jayapal sees it, though.
Likewise, 2 weeks ago, we voted on a pointless rehashing of H.R. 2, the Republicans' extreme, cruel, and unworkable immigration bill that is going nowhere fast. So what are we doing here, Mr. Speaker? Why does the majority insist on wasting our time with these bills filled with nothing but empty rhetoric designed to try and weaponize the issue of immigration instead of solving it?
Why are we wasting our time, she says? Why are we wasting our time trying to figure out how do we save this country from the flood of immigrants in it, stealing your jobs, raping your daughters, committing all sorts of crimes, trafficking drugs, trafficking human beings? I can't believe we would waste our time and talk about this stuff here. And then she has the gall to say, I'm here to solve the problem. Do you know what would solve the immigration problem in America? I'm going to lay it out for Democrats here because they are too thick-skulled and they have too many boosters preventing blood flow from getting to their brain anymore. You solve immigration by solving immigration, by saying no more people coming in and by everybody in here leaving. There, I just solved the problem here. This goes on forever. I'm not going to continue it. But I have another clip here where she says, I am representing immigrants and we need more immigrants.
Once again, the majority is wasting our time by...
This is not the same clip, by the way, if you're listening on the audio. Yes, she is saying the same thing. She's got a different outfit. It's a different day now. This is her motto. We are wasting our time when we talk about immigration in America. This right here alone is enough reason for you to believe the same as I do that immigrants should not be holding office. No, it is not a waste of time to be talking about resolving this immigration disaster. My own estimates, I say this on every video I make now, my guess is that there are 100 million illegals in this country. Nobody knows, because when it's a wide open border and you're not counting them as they come in with a little checker. Oh, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. 100 million, that's my number here. Joe Biden let in at least 20, and we've had this issue for 60 years at the very least. So 100 million, but it's a waste of time to talk about it.
Putting forward a piece of legislation that has zero chance of becoming law and that is extraordinarily broad. No one condones driving under the influence. We should do everything we can to prevent people from getting behind the wheel while intoxicated.
Okay, I'm going to use her own words against her here. She says we should do everything we can to prevent illegal aliens from driving drunk in America. If we are doing everything we can, I got an easy one. This is low-hanging fruit. You don't let them come into this country. If they're not in this country, then they can't drive drunk because they're not here and they're not in front of they're not behind the wheel. Problem solved. But again, she'll say that and she doesn't mean it.
But this bill, designed to scapegoat and denigrate immigrants, will not solve the serious problem of DUIs.
Anyway, this is what they do. They twist their logic. This is the playbook of the left. They take a kernel of truth that DUIs are a problem in this country. Yes, there are people that drink and drive that are American citizens. This is a problem. We need to have harsher laws. DUI, 5-year minimum. You kill someone, you hurt someone at the DUI, 20-year minimum, or life in prison if you kill them. Somehow we're like, well, you were intoxicated, so that'll be less of a punishment for killing somebody than if you had just gone out and killed someone not drunk. No, you need to be put in the slammer forever. So we could solve that problem as well. But yes, illegals driving drunk is its own problem because American citizens are allowed to be here and should be here, and illegals are not allowed to be here and should not be here. These are two separate issues. But again, they obfuscate the real matter there. She's trying to just paint with a broad brush. No. Every illegal needs to go, then it's not a problem. Then you have zero drunk driving illegals because you have no illegals.
Safety threats, including those who have been convicted of serious DUI offenses, are already inadmissible and removable under the Immigration and Nationality Act.
Okay, I have a question as well. I wasn't meaning to comment on this video for so long, but every time a Democrat speaks nowadays, you're just like, oh, God, I have to fact check this sentence again. This woman was screaming about sending illegal, violent, repeat criminal offender aliens home. How many adjectives do we need to describe these people? And she's like, don't scapegoat them. Yeah, I'm going to scapegoat them all day long. They all need to leave this country. They scream when you deport anybody. Donald Trump had deported like 2 people, and he already faced more injunctions, more Biden and Obama appointed judge injunctions than anyone else combined in the history of the presidency. Donald Trump had like over 100 injunctions in his first couple months in office, more than every other president combined. And now she's telling you these people can already be deported. Ladies, these people are the ones you were defending. Donald Trump was not rounding up random people. He was rounding up the worst of the worst first. And she's like, no, these people are allowed to be deported under this statute or law. They scream about every deportation. She doesn't believe a word she says. She is lying to you. She knows she's lying. She doesn't care that she's lying. She doesn't care that we know she's lying. These people are sick, evil, and scum. Nancy Pelosi, AOC, they might say the same thing. They are, is AOC a citizen? I guess she is because of Puerto Rican descent. Maybe we have to do something about that. But no, she's an immigrant. She loves all immigrants. She won't stand to see one more immigrant deported. And she's up there being like, I'm taking the middle ground, the high ground here. These people can go. No, it's all a lie. It is all a lie. All right, I'm over it. I'm over Jayapal, folks. She goes on to talk for like another 5 minutes. I am not going to subject any of us to that. Here's one more clip, though. Again, I'm going to round up the Jayapal section of our show today. Remember when they said illegals aren't getting benefits? They're not getting Medicare. They're not getting SNAP. They're not getting any of these welfare programs. They don't qualify. They're illegal. Let's make that make sense after we listen to this.
Today I was at a food bank in my district talking about the SNAP cuts, the horrible SNAP cuts and Medicaid cuts. And they told me that people are not even showing up to Head Start where they get their food. They're not showing up to the food banks because they're afraid. And it's not just undocumented immigrants. It is people of all legal statuses. It's undocumented immigrants who have been.
Hold on a second, folks. So undocumented immigrants are no longer showing up to receive the freebies that we pay for with our taxes. I'm working right now. A third of the income I make from working right now apparently is going to go to these undocumented people that I was told reliably were not receiving benefits. Now they're afraid to show up to get their benefits. Of course, the implication is that they are receiving benefits, and we all know they are. Like, we all know they're lying to us. Yes, of course they're receiving benefits. I think Jason and I did this tweet. I don't know if I can find it here. Some lib was like, 96% of Medicaid and Medicare expenses go to American citizens. See, they're not overburdening the system. And we're like, hold on a second. That's 4% going to illegals. That's millions, if not billions of dollars getting spent on illegals. And you said they weren't getting any. So then they shift the goalposts and you're like, well, it wasn't happening. Now it's not that much. It's like, no, you just admitted they're getting 4%. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars getting spent on illegals. And again, she's going to take the approach of like, it's humane to make sure they get these benefits. Do you know what's humane? Letting them go home to their home country, or in this case, forcibly sending them back to their home country, and then getting a job and working and feeding themselves in their home country. That would also be humane. I'm not responsible for these people. I'm responsible for my 2 kids, my wife, myself, my family. By extension, then the people in my family, my neighborhood. I'll look out for everybody. I'll make some good decisions for them. I am not responsible for a single illegal immigrant in this country. Yes, we are the wealthiest country in the world. That doesn't mean a thing to me as an individual. GDP. Can we stop talking about the relativeness of GDP? Are we the wealthiest nation in the world and therefore we can afford to house the entire world? Does GDP affect your own life? You have a paycheck, you have bills, you have responsibilities to your family. You don't care if the GDP is $5 trillion or $10 trillion. You care about the money in your own bank account. But again, you have an immigrant from Chennai, India, Pramila Jayapal, advocating relentlessly for immigration. It's a waste of time if you talk about immigration. Why is the GOP majority wasting our time I'm here to solve immigration. Dems, I'm here to solve the problem too. Turns out you just needed a new president to say you're no longer welcome in this country. I'm going to put the military at the border. I'm going to send you guys all packing. No more crossings, no more encounters, mass deportations. And if I could go on a Trump rant for a second, I was actually going to do that today, and then I was fired up about immigration. This is my issue, folks. I am so fired up about immigration every day. I live an hour outside the Twin Cities, small, quiet, white town, and everywhere I look now, they're building this cheap apartment building complexes. I see more and more people on the sidewalk that obviously showed up within the last year. No, this is every town in America. I moved here for a reason, and I would like to keep it for that same reason. I don't need my town to change, to get another restaurant. We have like 5 Mexican restaurants in a town of 15,000 people. One is fine. I like my little sushi restaurant I go to. A few are fine. But again, the point of immigration is it works if you stay in the minority. If you are replaced as the white majority, it doesn't matter how many and how great the food is. Your country is no longer your country. So we have to set guardrails, real guardrails, on saying, no, this is a white Christian nation. You can come here in small numbers, or my preference is nobody else comes here and we just manage the people that are in here and make them assimilate. Man, Jayapal, though. Once an immigrant, always an immigrant here. This is no good for this country. That is the theme of the show. She should not be allowed to hold office. She should be saying, thank you for saving me from what India is. Have you guys seen what India looks like? You don't want to be there. She should be saying thank you every day. But instead of that, she's like, you know what would be good? Turning America into India. I need more garbage on the streets. I need more garbage on the beaches. I need people pooping everywhere. I just need this low trust society. I don't want it. I don't want it. She needs to go. All right, where should we go next? All right, we're picking on everybody. Actually, I was going to go on a Trump rant really fast. Trump has done a lot good. I'm allowed to be an adult and point out where he is failing. So I was going to do like a good, bad episode of Donald Trump. The left is just like, you have to accept everything they do. I always point to Dean Phillips. He's like, I'm going to run in the primary against Joe Biden because he doesn't represent America. I'm a more moderate Democrat. And then he got hammered because Dean Phillips didn't stand a chance. The primaries are rigged for Democrats. And as soon as he drops out, he endorses Joe Biden. It's just like, what the hell? The groupthink on the left is insane. And they'll accuse you of being in a cult all day long. So Donald Trump, I can say, great president, had to win, doing amazing things. Epstein files, dropping the ball on that. Immigration, he's not going far enough. I should have pulled up the clip of CNN. CNN's trying to take this as an own against Trump. They're like, he's losing Gen Z. Gen Z is disappointed in Donald Trump. Maybe they'll vote Democrat next time. No, Gen Z is farther right than Donald Trump. I am farther right than Donald Trump. I think most of my audience, hey, we got Fally in the chat. Good morning, Fally. I think most of my Rumble audience is farther right than Donald Trump. When we're disappointed in his deportation immigration plan, it's not because he's getting rid of them. It's because he's not getting rid of enough of them. Gen Z is the most base generation, the most base voting bloc we have out there. They voted for mass deportations. They voted for 0 new immigrants in this country here. Donald Trump, I mean, if you're trying to wake up the vote or energize the base in 2026 and 2028, he needs to do way more immigration stuff, more deportations, more roundups, more entries, or more barriers to entry in this country here. It's not enough. Where's Donald Trump dropping the ball? Not enough deportations, not getting harsher on immigration here. I'll save that for a separate episode. I got a lot of comments on that as well. Let's head over to the Republican side, though. This is Maria Salazar, who has the amnesty, but it's not amnesty plan. And again, she was born in Cuba. I got to say this as a side note, the accent. If you have a foreign accent, automatic disqualification. Number one, if you're an immigrant, banned from holding elected office, banned from voting. If you have an accent where you obviously learned English as a second language, banned from holding elected office as well. Here's Maria Salazar, though, defending her amnesty, but not amnesty plan.
People who have been here for more than 20 years and have American kids and have never gotten into trouble do not necessarily want the path to citizenship. They want a dignified life in the promised land. And that's why I call my bill the dignity. But first and foremost, we got to seal that border so we will know who comes in from now on. But those who are here already, not the Biden migrants, the ones who came before 15, 20 years, we know. My parents are Cubans and they came legally, but we have so many people in New York City doing jobs that benefit us and our economy that do not necessarily have the same thing as the Cubans. So it's our time. The GOP can definitely lead the charge in this topic. Now, let me tell you something. In Congress, it's hard, it's tough.
I hate everything about this. I hate how she talks. I hate what she is saying. Do you remember when Ronald Reagan promised us a one-time amnesty deal? She is not using the word amnesty because everyone knows amnesty is a horrible idea now in the Republican base. But she's out there saying We are going to secure the border. We're going to prevent them from coming in again. And we're going to give them dignity, i.e. citizenship, because they've been here long enough, and that's the only thing that you need to do to earn it. And again, they throw out the trope. We have immigrants here providing a benefit to the country. They're doing the jobs that are so important. What jobs are immigrants doing by and large? And don't give me like one example of Jose has this successful $1 million company. I am talking in general, at large. What are they providing to this country that we couldn't do without them? And the answer is nothing. And again, side skirting the issue here. She's like, well, they've been here for 15 and 20 years and they had kids. Yes, that's the problem. She didn't even care if they came here legally or illegally, but they got their anchor babies. They got their birthright citizenship. They've been here a long time, hiding under the tables. And so now, because they've been here a long time, they have earned it. No, that's not how this works at all. This is a horrible idea. This is a horrible woman. And again, she has sympathies with immigrants because she is an immigrant herself. This woman could be alive for the next 1,000 years. She will never be an American in my eyes. No, you just can't. She will always have immigrant ties, immigrant roots, an immigrant story. Sympathy for immigrants where none is deserved does not matter. And it's Kagan. I got to have to the chat. I've been ignoring the chat lately. I think the chat's kind of talking to itself here. Kagan Girl says, time doesn't make it okay. Absolutely. What is the difference if you're an illegal immigrant and you came here yesterday or you came here 20 years ago? There is no difference. You came here illegally. Yeah, you got to benefit for 20 years by being in this country illegally. Doesn't make it okay. Doesn't make you qualified to be a citizen. Certainly doesn't make it qualified for you to vote or hold elected office. Doesn't make you entitled to any of the tax benefits or the welfare programs or all the Medicare. Fally says, just make some of our lazy citizens go back to work. Yeah, guess what? Americans will do the work if they have to. It is good to work. It is wholesome for the human being, for the soul, for the mind, to go to work hard, to provide. These are all good things. And if it makes people go back to work, great. Nobody is a better person because they receive welfare. They get their whatever else they get from the government nowadays. No one is a better person for it. Work, especially as men, but all people benefit from it. It gives you purpose. It gives you meaning. It gives you responsibilities. It makes you a provider. These are all good things. And immigrants have stolen that from us. And yes, the government has stolen from it as well because they want you dependent on the state. Kagan Girl just says, come back legally if you want to be here. Yeah. I mean, Trump floated this idea. Again, why is this controversial? Because it's attached to Trump. If you want to have the opportunity, I guess, I hate this idea of ever giving anyone a citizenship again or naturalizing them or a green card again. But if you want that chance or the opportunity, self-deport and then wait your turn in line, and then maybe something will happen. I don't want anything to happen, but at least throw a bone to them. You being here a long time means absolutely nothing to me. If I had stayed in Peru, where I worked for a year, I taught English down there, did a little traveling in my youth. I had a great time. I would never be a Peruvian. I could have stayed there my whole life, married some Peruvian gal, had kids down there. I would always be an American. What is this nonsense? The idea that we're a land of immigrants, there's no identity, false. We have an identity. It's rooted in white European Christianity that goes back hundreds of years. There is an absolute identity to being an American. Now, you can share the American ideals. You can participate in this American experiment. It doesn't necessarily make you will never be an American. You've been here 20 years, so now congratulations, you're an American. It doesn't work like that. I despise this woman so much. And I know it shouldn't matter, but it matters. The way she says it, that thick Spanish, that Cuban accent too. Cuban Spanish is its own Spanish. She can't even say it normally. Like I despise her. Here she is again, though, talking about her Dignity Act, because you've been here a long time, so you deserve dignity. Again, this is the misdirection of the left. I mean, Maria Salazar is a Democrat. I don't care what she calls herself. You can have dignity and self-deport. You can have dignity and human worth and still be deported. These are not separate issues here. I respect your dignity as a Cuban. Go back to Cuba. I respect your dignity and worth as a human being as a Colombian. Go back to Colombia. Go back to Mexico. Go back everywhere. Go back to Haiti.
You are undocumented, and you have been in the country for more than 5 years. You do not have a criminal record. You're working and paying taxes. You can come out of the shadows with no fear and apply for the dignity status.
Hold on a second, folks. Do you see who's in the background right here? I wish I had like a bold arrow. Look over her shoulder. It's her left shoulder. It's right on the screen here. Do you see who that is? Do you remember the first video we played of the show today telling ICE agents to get the fuck out of Los Angeles? That's Norma Torres. Norma Torres is alongside Maria Salazar cheering this speech on, saying if you've been here, again, they make up an arbitrary number. If you've been here for 5 years as an illegal alien, come out of the shadows. You have nothing to fear. You will be given everything that me, Todd Peterson, my family, I was born in America. My family's in America. I've been in America forever. You are now the same thing. Your vote will count the same. You will be able to hold elected office, all the same. Everything that Todd Peterson has will be exactly the same just because you've been here for 5 years. And we all know that 5 years means they've completely assimilated, completely adopted the constitutional principles, the morality, the values, the customs, the culture of our wonderful society here. Get out of here with that. Just look at her too. She looks evil right where we pause it as well. I don't trust her. I don't like her. I want her to go home. She should be banned from holding an elected office. Are you guys starting to understand why immigrants shouldn't hold elected office here? Have you heard a single immigrant legislator talk about doing what is right for the American people? I said earlier, your one job representing people serving in Congress or the Senate, the House, the presidency, mayoral office, you have one job. That is to represent your American citizen constituents. This gal here is going on and on about giving dignity to illegals, prioritizing immigrants, celebrating what immigrants bring to this country. Did you hear her at all in these two clips? And I had to pause them, but I'll tell you that she doesn't say anything. She is not once focused on serving the American people, improving the lives of the American people. She has one mission in her office. She wants to make life as good as possible for immigrants, and that is wrong. That is immoral. Expel them all, censor them all, kick them out of Congress here, prevent them from ever holding office again. Donald Trump, if he's watching the show, if he listens to the show, if he catches wind of my message here, Donald Trump needs to ban immigrants from holding elected office. Make it a law, make it a thing. Maria Salazar teamed up with Norma Torres, who said that ICE was the reason that Los Angeles was burning. Get them all out of here. All right, we're going to switch gears a little. Before I get to the mayoral candidates, I didn't have room in my library to do some Ilhan Omar, but it wouldn't be a ban immigrants from holding office episode without Ilhan Omar. I'm sorry in advance. This woman is the worst.
They thought the first 100 days of chaos would break us. They were wrong. Because across this country, millions of us are standing up for our human rights and our democracy. Judges are fighting back to block these unconstitutional executive orders. Here in Congress, we are fighting back every single day. We are fighting to protect immigrant families from mass detention and deportation.
They don't say why it's a bad thing that immigrants are getting detained and deported, by the way. But again, here are the Democrats in this case. Here's Ilhan Omar leading, and then you got the guy to her left, your right on the screen here. I forget his name. I think he's from California, Hispanic, obviously. And you got the old white guy, because the old white libs are just the worst, But yeah, I'm going to fight for immigrants, she says. Do you see a theme? Democrat and Republican, if they are an immigrant and they identify as an immigrant, they all do. They all identify as immigrants. I got another clip of Omar in just a second. I'm here to serve the interests of Somalia. That's what Omar Fatez, the mayoral candidate in Minneapolis, is going to say as well. We are doing this for immigrants. When are you guys going to do anything for Americans? Have we considered that at all ever? Like, well, I serve Americans. I represent Americans. I'm in America now. It doesn't even cross their mind at this point.
We are fighting to prevent horrific cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, and Social Security. It won't be easy, but we must continue to organize, to speak out, and to build a future that reflects our highest ideals.
Again, they just speak in their own academic language. Honestly, you need to be. I talked about America like it's not a bad thing to learn other languages. You can learn 2 languages in America: normal English and then Democrat woke academic speech. Right there, it's its own dialect at this point. What are our highest ideals, Ilhan Omar? According to me, I'll lay it out. These are the highest ideals. They're objective. There's no room for debate. The highest objectives here are whatever the Constitution says and whatever the founders had in mind, whatever built this great country. Those are the highest ideals: limited government, prosperity, maximum freedom, and by the way, retaining the white Christian majority in this country here. Ilhan Omar representing some Minneapolis random, not again, the white libs that vote for Ilhan Omar, they feel really good about themselves. I'm so charitable. I vote for Democrats to steal someone else's money and they hand it back out to these immigrants that need it so much. So charitable of them. Her highest ideals are stealing from whites, making whites lose their country. Those are their ideals. Those are not my ideals here. The American ideal is that you get nothing from the government, work hard, have opportunities. Opportunity. They have no idea what the word opportunity means. We all have equal opportunity in this country here. You don't get to steal from me when I have made an opportunity, when I have successful outcomes here. This is all a guise for communism, and you have to understand woke simply means anti-white. At the end of the day, this is all anti-white, which is why I'm hammering the point home of no, it is okay to be white, and we need to have a white identity in this country here. Yes, Fally, you guys can go to the American Tribune.news. It is a Substack of one of our business partners here. He breaks it all down. The background of Ilhan Omar is absolutely insane. Prime example of an ungrateful immigrant. Get out. No one wants you. Take your brother with you. Yes, we can talk about that here. She needs to find time to marry another family member here. Ilhan Omar's dad, just for a little brief historical recap here. Ilhan Omar's father in the 1980s and 90s was high up in the Somali military at the time. He genocided hundreds of thousands of his fellow Somalis here. Just a brutal dictatorship. Murders them, just massive numbers. No one ever talks about that. No one ever cares. And when that regime got overthrown, Ilhan Omar sought political asylum in England because she said that her life was in danger. She was getting politically persecuted. No shit. Your family had a hand in murdering countless fellow Somalis, fellow countrymen and women. And yeah, they want a little retribution, some just retribution, I might add here. Her father deserved to hang. By extension, she deserved to hang. She was complicit. But instead, in this just insane woke world we live in, England was like, yes, your life is in danger. Come here and we will keep you safe. And then she parlayed that into a trip to America, where, of course, she lied on her immigration ballot. She had married her brother. I love that everyone's just like, find time to marry another family member. So she lied on her immigration status, comes to America. And again, the most ungrateful twat there is in this country here. She comes here and immediately just starts hating this country. She should be hanging from some public square right now if we had let that play out here. Her father murdered everybody. So we rescue her, we save her, and she comes to this country and she says it's one of the worst countries ever. She says white people are the devil. They are the greatest threat of domestic terrorism in this country here. And she's going to advocate for more and more Somalis in this country here. This woman, I said Maria Salazar was one of the worst. I said Jayapal was one of the worst. Every time I play a clip, they're now the worst. Ilhan Omar might be the worst. Yeah, screw this nasty biatch, Fally says. 100%. This woman is vile, beyond vile here. Okay, I got one more Ilhan clip, though. Let me see if I can pull this up. Here we go.
Aan wada dhisano anigu waan ahay gabar
All right, so I got to pause it here. She is speaking Somali because why wouldn't you? You're an American rep or House of Representatives serving Americans. She is getting in front of her fellow Somalis. There are hundreds of thousands of her dudes now in just Minnesota. Just Minnesota, by the way. I think Minnesota might have the largest Somali population at this point. Why Minnesota, you might ask? What does Minnesota geography and climate have in common with Somalia? Absolutely nothing. But what it does have is a lot of white people. And if you look at the bigger picture of great replacement theory, where else would you drop these Somalis than in rural white Minnesota towns? Drop them off in Minneapolis here. This formerly white state now just has a bunch of these dudes running around, getting in car accidents. Look up St. Cloud, Minnesota, by the way, the most dangerous roads in the state. Also one of the most populated areas by Somalis because you've got women in hijabs that can't even see, cruising around in their minivans, and they just smash into everything that they can find here. So thank you for that. My auto insurance rates have gone up. I have to pay more now for uninsured drivers. Make this make sense. This is a crime in and of itself. My insurance rates go up every year because I have to pay more for the uninsured clause, even though in order to drive in Minnesota and get a driver's license, I have to have proof of insurance. So how is it that these people don't have to have insurance and I have to pay more for I'm subsidizing their lack of insurance, and yet we still hand out driver's licenses to them, even though you need to show proof of insurance. I hate everything about this. They all need to go home. But she's speaking Somali in front of other Somalis. And notice she says, I'm an American migrant. She's not a Somali migrant, because that's what she would be. I'm a Somali immigrant to America. She says I'm an American migrant, and she'll continue saying that she is here to represent Somalia. And you tell me why immigrants should be serving in Congress still.
Maraykanka laga doortay oo Congress-ka Maraykanka ku jirto. Laakiin waxaan ahay gabar Soomaaliyeed, gabar idinku jinsi ah, gabar.
All right, I'm going to pause it there. I'm just, in case you're listening on Spotify, Apple, doing the audio version while you're driving here. She says, I am a Somali girl, a girl with your lineage.
Idinku af ah, gabar idinku diin ah.
A girl with your religion. That was a young child taken from her country. She's going to go with that narrative. And then she says, I miss my country and wish to live there. I just laid out her background. Go ahead and fact check it. Please look up Ilhan Omar's background. You'll probably find more than I even shared here. But again, go to the AmericanTribune.news. We have an article up on Ilhan Omar and her dad, her genocidal father. She says she was taken from her country. I wish she had been taken by her country. We rescued her. Her family sought asylum in England. She was not taken from her country. Her family fled the country when people that overthrew the regime were like, that's them. Those are the Omar Ilhans of the world that were killing everybody in our streets here and rounding them all up. Let's get her. So we saved her. And what does she do? She twists the narrative and says, I was taken from my home. I miss my country and I wish to live there. I have a really easy solution, Ilhan Omar. You can go home. Just go home if you miss it so much. When I was in Peru, I didn't miss home, but I was like, it's time to grow up a little bit. I'll come home. I'll go get a job. I'll go grow up and be a dad. But I missed home. So I came home. If she misses home so much, go home. This is not complicated. Don't make Minnesota Somalia 2.0. We already have little Mogadishu down in Minneapolis. It is awful there. It's frightening. And now you can look at the suburbs here. They go to Burnsville. They're in my backyard. My hometown of Lakeville, Minnesota. More and more Somalis every year. This is not good. This is not bringing... diversity is not our strength. They're just ruining the area. I have a lot to say about the Somali immigrants in particular here. They all come here. They all leech off the system. Not a single one of them wants to be an American. Ilhan Omar herself has been here for like 20 years. She will never identify as an American. She identifies us as a Somali first. And what's more, she says, I have your lineage. I have your religion. I'm a Somali girl that misses home. But instead of then just saying, everybody, I'm going to round you up. We're all going to go home to Somalia because we miss each other so much over there. She stays here and then she ruins this country on purpose.
Xiise u qabto in maalin wadankeedii ay ku noolaato oo dadkeedii wax ay la wadaagto. Marka alhamdulillah waxaan
I don't know much about the Somali language. I learned Assalamu alaikum when I was working in St. Cloud. I don't know, it's a greeting. But then she always says marka. I don't know what the normal speech pattern is of Somali. If you listen to Ilhan Omar, though, every other word is like, because I think that's what marka means. They're like, yeah. It's just an ugly dialect, an ugly language, just an ugly culture here. They don't need to be here. No immigrants need to be here. You shouldn't be allowed to serve in office if you are going to communicate to a select group of constituents in a language other than English. Again, this should not be complicated here. You represent Americans. You are in America, and we speak English in America. This is low-level stuff right here, folks. But she is out there organizing her fellow Somalis that share her lineage and her religion and their love of Somalia. All while being in America, getting free minivans, free apartments, SNAP, Medicare, all the rest of it. No car insurance. I'm paying for the car insurance with my premiums. I hate it all. I hate all of this. I'm 44 minutes in. I'm fired up today, folks. I'm always fired up. Immigration gets me fired up more than anything. Can I just recap for a second? Immigrants need to be banned from holding elective office. Are you convinced yet? Is everybody convinced now that this is not a good thing? Speaking in another language, advocating for everybody except Americans that they're supposed to represent, using government resources to provide for specific groups of people that are not white Americans as well. You should be as angry as I am about this. All right, we're going to wrap this up here. 2 mayoral candidates. Let's start with Zoran Mamdani here. What did I call him before? Moran Zamdani? It works both as well. So here he is saying that I'm going to just tax white people more. This is not me saying that. That's not me like reading. He says it. We need to tax white people more. And everything I've laid out in the show so far, you tell me how this is a good thing for you.
Let's talk about immigration deportation. Went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal?
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus open.
I have to pause that right there. This is not because we're targeting whites specifically. It's just because of the description of what we see. Folks, next time you're talking to a Democrat that listen to this and they're like, that makes sense. He's not targeting white people. White people happen to be targeted. Ask them about disparate impact. Ask them about crime statistics with blacks. Talk to them about police encounters with blacks. They will scream at you all day long and say, well, blacks don't get into college as much. And it's not because, it can't be because of the IQ or their lack of preparation or their illiteracy or their failed culture in the ghetto. It's because of racism. Disparate impact means blacks are disadvantaged because something that white people do in society at a structural level. It's all nonsense, but they'll tell you that. And then this guy out here, the same person that would be like disparate impact, we have to look out for the blacks and the immigrants because they're disproportionately affected by some policy that, of course, they are because they don't have the same skill set or mindset or drive or intelligence. Must be something white people are doing systematically. He's out here saying, I'm going to disparately impact white people, and that's okay. They happen to be white. This is insane. It's all, I don't know. I need new words other than evil and insane. I guess we just got to call it out and hopefully people wake up. If you're listening to the podcast, you like the show, you want to share the show, support the show, let a Dem listen to it. I'm not calling Dems names. Yes, they are stupid and brainwashed. I won't call them names to their face if they interact with me. But share this show with someone that doesn't share your viewpoints. I would love for them to hear this clip right here and be like, hold on a second, person. You have bought into critical race theory, which purports disproportionate impact, which means we have to do the Civil Rights Act and make sure that there are blacks everywhere for no other reason than, they are affected somehow by policies that are not driven by racism, but more meritocracy. But nope, that must be racist. And then this guy right here can float an idea, a policy out that says, we're not going after them because they're white. They're going to be more affected because they're white. That's actual disparate impact. I hate it. I hate it.
Taxed. We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable. It's one that actually Eric Adams ran on saying that he would change in the first 100 days. He's since sought to defend it and lost at every juncture in court.
And I understand you're...
Again, I did an entire episode. I think it was an hour and a half on property taxes. I think I did it back in January, February. You can go to the American Tribune Live channel. You'll find it on there. Property taxes, I made the claim, they are a smaller sum than your income taxes. It's both theft. Property taxes are worse in principle, though, because you need a home, you need property, A, to survive, B, to be free. If you don't own property, you can never be free. They make you pay taxes on something you can own outright if you pay off your mortgage here. You need property to live. And by the way, whatever property taxes fund are also equally awful, like the woke government school system. Turns out you can have good roads without having a government involved. So that argument goes out the window. Everyone's like, well, what about the roads? We will have roads. It'll be just fine. Because the government hires it out anyways. They hire contractors to do the roads and they just pay them with your tax dollars. Yeah, we can have roads without government. Just cut out the middleman. But this dude right here saying we have to solve property taxes. It affects people differently in weird ways. Did you know that you pay property taxes based on the value of your home? For the life of me, I cannot figure out how a low-income black family or immigrant family would be paying more in property taxes than someone out in the Hamptons because it's all tied to your assessed home value. In no world are their assessed home values higher, therefore are they paying more. It just doesn't work that way. If you want to solve the property tax problem, abolish the property taxes. Yes, income taxes, Donald Trump said he's going to abolish that as well. We'll see if that happens. Again, he made the claim, like, we have tariffs now that can replace income taxes. I'd love to see it. I would take half. If he cut income taxes in half tomorrow, I would take that as a massive win. But property taxes are evil. I don't need to have the government own my property, which is what you are paying rent to the government. You never own anything as long as there are property taxes. Is just an evil system. But then this moron out here is saying like it's unequal somehow. No, it's not. Whites are already paying more in property taxes because their home values are worth more. It's all so stupid. I'm going to go to the other Zoran clip. I can't listen to anything else about that. Here he is, though, defending immigrants. And again, I'm just going to ask the question. You tell me how immigrants are a net positive when they're allowed to serve and hold elected positions.
We're simply describing. Are you committed to keeping New York as a sanctuary city?
Absolutely, because ultimately we've seen that this is a policy that has kept New Yorkers safe for decades.
A sanctuary city housing illegal aliens, many of them violent, has somehow kept New York City safer. They say this with no shame. They say this with no remorse. They do. I think he is so committed. This guy's an actual communist. He believes what he's saying here. You could show him every stat that says illegals commit crimes at a far greater rate than American citizens, and then he'll come back at you because they cannot conceptualize per capita whatsoever. He'll come back and tell you, well, there are more crimes committed by American citizens. And you'd be like, yeah, because like 70% of the city is American citizens. But then why is it that 70% of the crimes are committed by the other 30%? But again, per capita, critical thinking, math, common sense, it does not apply to these people. And I love Francis's question here. New York safe? He's going to be the mayor of New York City, and he's already off to a bad start because he thinks New York City is safe. Have you heard of the Daniel Penny situation? Have you heard of situations where women are lit on fire? Have you seen people getting pushed in front of subway cars? That New York City? Are we talking about the same New York City?
It's a policy that had previously been defended by Democrats and Republicans alike until the fear-mongering of this current mayor.
The fear-mongering. Eric Adams, racist Democrat, is the fear-monger now, simply for pointing out, I can't afford to house all these illegal aliens. Oh, and it turns out illegal aliens commit crimes at a higher rate than the native population here. This is absolutely wild. People are voting for him. He will be the next mayor of New York City. And I understand, folks. I don't like to give an inch to these woke communists, these race Marxists. I don't want to lose New York City. I also recognize that New York City is also already lost. So I say bring it on. Let Mamdani come into New York City. It's not going to improve. It's going to get far worse. But I think the only way you wake people up is if they get mugged by reality. I am not advocating for anyone to get assaulted or raped or robbed or what have you. But I think that's the only solution at this point. Lib voters in New York City need to feel the consequences of their voting. When I see stories of a woman gets pushed in front of a subway car, or I see a horrific story of somebody getting set on fire by an illegal immigrant, my instinctual response now is I wonder how they voted. I have zero sympathy for a Democrat voter that gets pushed onto a train track by a repeat violent offender. I saw a stat yesterday, the X-Account Cremu, I think that's how you pronounce it. 327 people in New York City are responsible for a full 1/3 of all crime committed. 327 people. If you locked up those 327 individuals, crime would go down by 1/3 overnight. This statistic is absolutely insane, but because these lunatics vote Democrat, they vote to release them, no cash bail, you get unlimited second chances. If you have something happen to you in New York City and you voted for it, I don't know what to tell you. I am screaming over here at my computer saying this is not complicated. Lock up the bad guys, deport the illegals. You would automatically have a safer city by half overnight. And they won't listen to me because they think I'm a racist and a xenophobe and a bigot and a hater. I don't know what else to say. I feel sorry for me, for my wife, for my kids, for the people that I love, for the people that vote Republican and know better. I can't feel bad for you anymore. If you vote Democrat and something bad happens to you, I just don't feel anything anymore. Like, you voted for this. You wanted to be pushed in front of a subway. You wanted to be assaulted in the park while you were going for a jog. What else am I supposed to do? I am telling you, I'm laying this all out. You have horrible ideas. You vote for horrible human beings, and you just don't care. You have to be mugged by reality at this point. That might be the only thing that wakes people up. You're a small business owner that votes Democrat in New York City. Best of luck to you. I'm sorry that you're going to get robbed at gunpoint sometime in the next 4 years because Zoran Mamdani wanted those 327 people that commit 1/3 of all crime in New York City to be back on the street. Because guess what? New York is safe. New York is safe because of these policies, he says. Good luck, everybody. But again, you will not have my sympathy. You will not have my empathy. If you vote Democrat and vote for this, you are voting for your own demise. Just understand, you are voting for your own demise. Let's finish this up right here. Let me clear out Ilan. Let me clear out Mamdani. Here is Omar Fatah. He looked at Zoran Mamdani and said, you know what? You know how I can one-up this Ugandan, African, Indian. Somehow he's connected to Jews. I don't know how any of this works here. He's been here for 6 years. Now he'll be New York City mayor. Again, immigrants need to be banned. Their kids need to be banned from holding office and voting. They should not be allowed to vote. If you're an immigrant in this country and you previously voted, congratulations, you no longer can vote. You will be stripped of voting rights. You'll be stripped of your ability to hold elected office. You can be here. You can assimilate. You can participate. You can say thank you. That's what an immigrant can do in this country. Omar Fatah, though, he looked on the East Coast and said, I can one up this guy. I'm Somali. I hate this country as much as Ilhan Omar, and I'm going to run for mayor as well. And Minneapolis is going to vote for him.
And increasing affordable housing and not gentrifying our neighborhoods. These are all things that are causing harm to our community because of this idea that there isn't money, when in reality, we do have this money to spend on this. It's just that we're choosing not to. It's not a value of ours. So right now, we're blessed to have 3 Somali elected officials.
All right, this is wild. Listen to this. They infiltrate the system. So this dude previously served, I think it was in the House before running for mayor of Minneapolis. He's going to talk about his brothers and sisters. These are fellow Somalis that arrived yesterday, for all I know. Doesn't matter when they arrived, for that matter. They are Somali. They are immigrants. They should not be holding office. He talks about the collusion that they have, though, how they work in unison. I got one buddy in the House. I got one buddy in the Senate. We're going to make sure both these bills get presented in both chambers so that they can go to Tim Walz's desk, because Minnesotans are retarded and they vote Democrat every single time, even though they hate everything that's happening to their state. My family members and friends, all they do when they see what happens, they just move to the farther suburb. They just move one town over so that it's white again, so it's Republican-led again, and they never reflect or connect the dots. And they're like, gosh, why did I have to move from my beautiful neighborhood that was great 5 years ago when I purchased the home? Can't connect any dots. It's like, gosh, maybe it's because you voted Democrat. All they do is just leave because they don't want what Democrat outcomes produce. They don't want a diversified neighborhood. They don't want higher crime. They don't want higher taxes. They're going to vote for all of it because they're absolutely mentally ill. And then they go to the next town, and instead of changing how they vote, reflecting on their own voting behavior or what caused those problems, they just go vote Democrat again because they're charitable. They're such good people. They look out for everybody else. I'm going to vote to steal someone else's money to provide for them. And I'm going to vote for more of them to come here. Oh my God. Jason, Todd is using the R word. Let's go. Yeah, I'm fired up. I told you, immigration is my thing, man. Oh yeah, but Todd, they're American citizens, say it's okay. Yeah, you're right. It's okay. Valley. Yeah, it's all wild, man. It's all wild. So here he is talking about the collusion of Somalis in our government. And yeah, this is totally good that they're all here.
At the Capitol, me, Sister Holden Hassan, who's in the State House, and Brother Mahmoud Noor. And we work very closely together. And we carry each other's bills. So the way it works is, if there's a bill in the House, it needs an identical bill to be carried in the Senate for it to be negotiated and to pass.
Okay, and then he talks about it's going to go to Tim Walz's desk because Tim Walz will sign anything produced by Democrats. He'll vote to steal kids from you in the state if you don't affirm their trans identity. He'll vote to put tampons in the boys' restrooms in elementary school. He'll vote to let Black Lives Matter burn down entire sections of the city. Folks, if you want to go on a field trip, go to South Minneapolis. I think it's 39th. I don't even know. George Floyd Square. Still the same as it was in 2020. Life did not get better when they kicked out the police and burned down the precinct. Still the same shithole, but progress and all that. This guy is talking about how he and his buddies just advanced bills. And do you think those bills are for the betterment of Minnesotans? And by Minnesotans, I mean white people that are from here? Absolutely not. They are bills to promote immigration, illegal immigration, Somali causes. How can we make sure Somalis, and he talked about it earlier, he said there's always money there. So he is trying to steal Minnesotans' tax dollars and the federal funding that comes down as well and redistribute it to just Somali causes. Falley's chiming in. I think this had to relate to my comment about what happens to Democrats. They get what they deserve. I know, Falley. I'm trying to tell Democrats right now that they are voting for pure evil. They are voting for their own destruction and harm. And they won't listen to me because they're smarter and better than I am. So again, they get what they deserve. Can't feel bad for them. All right, I got one more Omar Fatah clip. I don't think I'm going to make it under the hour here. I had so much to rant on about today when it comes to this. Immigrants need to be banned from elected office. And here is a representative in the state of Minnesota, which I think is still like 70% white, and that's falling fast. But white people are the problem.
Being called terrorists. We heard them being called drug dealers. We heard a lot of insults. We heard that.
So his feelings are hurt right now. The clip picks up where his feelings are hurt because people like me are like, these Somalis are up to no good in Minnesota. When they get into elected positions, they steal from us and redistribute it to their Somali brothers and sisters. They're all one big family unit. They hate each other. When I worked in St. Cloud school system, it turns out we had two very heavily Somali schools. The school I worked in was like 95% Somali. But then there was another one across town. We had to settle Somalis in different parts of St. Cloud because they had their same stupid tribal feuds And so they couldn't share schools. They couldn't share the apartment buildings. They couldn't share all the free stuff we offered them. Had to settle them in 2 different parts of town in St. Cloud, Minnesota. But suddenly, notice though, when it comes to political power, weaponizing the state against you, stealing from taxpayers, now they're all brothers and sisters. They hate each other. If you drop them all back in Somalia, they would be murdering each other, fighting over land, fighting over resources. They would not be brothers and sisters over there. But when they come to the United States, when it's convenient for them, now they're all brothers and sisters and all united in this cause here. But his feelings are hurt because we're like, you guys don't contribute anything to the society, and you commit crime and you steal our tax dollars and you leech off our systems. We give you free minivans. Every time you see a minivan on the road in Minnesota, I look over and I'm like, yep, there's another woman in a hijab.
That they're a threat to our national security. And that's a flat out lie. You want to know who the real threat is, Madam President? I'll give you a hint. They don't look like our chief author. They don't look like the folks up in the gallery. They don't look like the folks on the rotunda. They look like many of the members that sit in the front. And you don't have to take my word for it.
This is pure evil. This man should be expelled from any elected position. He should be deported immediately simply for suggesting this. Omar Fattah, when he was serving in the House, said, look around the room. You see all these white people? They are the biggest domestic terrorists that we face right now. The biggest threat to the country are white people. He can't back it up. How are you going to back that statement up with facts? But he had no problem saying that. The people that rescued him from his shithole country of Somalia. Do I have to remind Omar Fattah about Somalia? But he has the gall to come here after being rescued by our stupid liberal empathetic asses, comes here and immediately starts name calling them in the worst way possible. This is nothing short of Radio Rwanda, folks. They are setting this up as soon as they get enough numbers, as soon as whites are in the minority. We are down the path of South Africa. They will steal your land. They will murder your families. They will rape the women in your life. This is not hyperbole. They are all setting the stage. They are lining up the dominoes. And as soon as whites are the minority in this country, that domino chain is going down hard. This guy out here, though, again, not grateful, not appreciative, not saying thank you. All he's going to say is the white people in this room are the real problem. And what do you do with the problem? Well, I would suggest that we deport the problem as it exists right now. But this guy will have different solutions because you can't deport white people anywhere else. Did you know as a white person, you have no home nation in the entire globe? Somalia, this guy has a country, it's called Somalia. The illegals that I want to send home, they can go home to any nation in Central and South America. They have a home nation. They have made it so that white people will never feel at home. You have no home nation. America's stolen land. You don't belong here. Turns out Europe was probably stolen, and now we've just taken it over, and it's going to be under Sharia law soon enough. Oh my gosh. Robert is in the chat, and Robert's over on YouTube. Robert, thank you so much. Oh yeah, you are a New Yorker, aren't you? He says, my New York City goes Mamdani, and your Minneapolis raises this guy. So much hate. FYI, Jason on Tanner's podcast was a great listen. Yeah, the business is doing some good circles here. Yeah, Jason was on Will Tanner's Old World podcast yesterday. Thanks for tuning into that as well. Like I said, Mamdani seemed pretty wild to me. It's like, okay, we're going down this path. Minneapolis said, hold my beer. I'm going to run a communist Somali, a Muslim communist Somali that hates white people even more than Mamdani. Mamdani wants to tax white people more. Omar Fattah simply says, you're all terrorists and a threat, and you're going to end up in a camp if my people get enough political power. Actually, they don't need a minority at 10 to 15%. It's enough. Yeah, point well taken there, Jason. But Robert, thanks for the super chat over on YouTube. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you commenting. Thanks for watching all this stuff, by the way. Robert has showed up on our Freedom from the Press podcast. He has shown up on my podcast here. I think, Robert, that's how you got introduced. And then listening to Will Tanner's Old World podcast, where Jason, my podcast partner tomorrow, was a featured guest with Will Tanner. So I love what the American Tribune is doing. Will Tanner does the Smart podcast. I do the Angry Rant podcast. Jason and I don't know what our shtick is yet here. We like to think that we're just kind of presenting news. We both go on rants, though. And Jason, I think tomorrow we're going to do our crazy leftist story. I saw the text chain. I think that needs to come out a little bit here. All right, I got to listen. We got to get to the part where he's just like, I hate white people.
According to DHS, Madam President, the greatest domestic threat facing the United States comes from, quote, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race.
We need a whole hour to dissect this guy's last sentence. He is reading off of Joe Biden's Department of Homeland Security memo. Again, Joe Biden, Mayorkas, Joe Biden was doing his Philly Hitler speech, and he's just like, white MAGA Americans are the greatest single domestic terror threat. I did a tweet. There were 4 different clips I shared of Joe Biden calling white Americans, white MAGA supporters, the greatest domestic terror threat. So he is sourcing as the basis for the premise that he created here, that whites are the biggest threat. He is basing it on a false hoax document created by the Biden administration that wanted all people like him to come into the country in the first place. And he's like, this is a fact. You see, the Biden DHS said it, so it must be true. That's his claim here. And there is no convincing him otherwise. I mean, look at the eyes. This is a sold soul. He has sold his soul to the devil, and he is going to confidently say that white people are the greatest threat. You could show him facts for days. You could show him real numbers. You could have him listen to real stories. He'll never be convinced otherwise. White people are the enemy. And what do you do with an enemy if you get enough political power? Make no mistake, we are going to a camp. I don't know, folks. It is a wild time we live in right here. Minneapolis is going to have this guy. He's going to run the city into the ground. New York City is going to have their dude. He's going to run the city into the ground. We had clips of Omar, Jayapal, Salazar, Torres. There are more. There are more of them. They all need to go. Let me conclude the show with this statement today. One more time. Immigrants need to be banned from holding elected positions. It's not in the title. I would go a step further. I fully believe this. Immigrants need to be banned from voting in general. My rule for immigrants, when I am king, if you're an immigrant to this country, number one, congratulations, because somehow you snuck in. I will have 0 immigration when I am king. Legal, illegal, or otherwise. There will just be no new newcomers. Fally says, get the F out, 100%. I will initiate mass deportation so that every last illegal is gone. And then those that remain, they will be barred from voting for life if they are first generation. Their children will be barred from voting for life. They will never be allowed to hold elected office. They will be allowed to say thank you. Thank you for letting me live in this country. Thank you for keeping me here. Maybe my great-grandchildren will vote one day and hold office. But even then, I'm suspect about letting that happen here. If we're going to save this country, immigrants need to be banned from holding office forever. Their kids need to be banned from holding office forever. They need to be banned from voting. And I got to get to Robert's comment here. Give the old YouTube algorithm a boost. I absolutely could be wrong in this, but I always thought so much hate was shaking my head, not so much hate. I think it could go either way. I've seen both, Robert. I think, again, boomer at heart over here. I have no idea what this texting lingo means. I hate it, by the way. We have reduced an entire generation. I love memes. I love GIFs. I will comment with just a clip from a TV show if it makes my point in a text chain. I hate all of it, though, because people no longer know how to speak or spell. Their entire conversations revolve around like SMH. Here's a funny picture of a cat falling out of a tree. And that's it. That is the extent of their English language. And they use ChatGPT to write all their papers. And you wonder why they vote Democrat, because they can form no thoughts in their heads without a developed language. Wild stuff. Man, there are so many things to comment on here. But folks, I got to get out of here. It's been an hour and 10 minutes here. The voice is getting hoarse. If I get more fired up, I'm afraid of what I'm going to say. But I appreciate you tuning in. We had a great comment section today. Kagan Girl was first. Francis joined next. Jason Robertson joined the chat here. Later on, we had Fally in the chat. We had Robert. Again, big thank you, Robert, for your super chat over on YouTube here. We had some big presence on X. No comments on X today. That's okay. And if you were following along and you weren't commenting, but you were there nonetheless, thank you for choosing the show. I always say this. I mean it sincerely. There is no shortage of podcasts out there. There are so many options of which shows to tune into, whose opinion you want to listen to, what clips you're going to show today. But I appreciate you guys tuning into the American Tribune Live. I am back tomorrow with Jason Robertson, who is in the chat today. Proud of my R word drop today. 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Freedom from the Press goes live. We'll do our Rumble-only section as always. Hope to see you guys all back in the podcast tomorrow. But until then, again, thank you for tuning in. I love bouncing ideas off the comment section. I love to see the comment section popping. It was today. I had a great time with the show. I hope you are equally convinced as I am, though, that immigrants can never hold elected office again. They need to be expelled from Congress. We need more deportations. And we'll see what happens moving on down the road. But until tomorrow, when I'm back in studio, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.